Hey everyone, welcome back to What's Happening. So Attorney Crump and his colleagues, along with Shanquella Robinson's family, was at Livingston College today, and they are still continuing to put pressure on the Department of the State and also President Biden and Vice President Harris. They are looking for them to do something, extradite the Cabo 6 back to Mexico or take over the case here in the United States. Attorney Crump did say that individuals can start sending letters and emails to the Department of the State and just ask, when are you going to extradite the Cabo 6 back to Mexico? He also stated that we have to continue to use our voices for Shanquella Robinson since she is no longer here to use her own voice. And her mother and her sister did speak. So let's take a listen to what they had to say along with some of his other colleagues.
And I stand here to say to you that we must remember that Black lives matter.
That's right. Amen. That's right.
And the justice for Black lives matters. It does not matter where this child was murdered.
That's it.
It does not matter the hue of the skin of the people that murdered this child.
Amen.
The only thing that matters is that there is a mother who is grieving.
Yes, sir.
And at this very moment sees no avenue for justice for her lost child.
Tell it.
That is an indictment on America. That is an indictment on the criminal justice system. But most importantly, it is an indictment on the people who have the power to create justice, to stand in this moment and show America and the world that Black lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we will have Reverend Greg Drumwright from Justice for the Next Generation come and greet you.
Good afternoon. I'm grateful to be back on the campus of Livingstone College, where Black college leadership has stepped up in more ways than one or two today to draw attention to the issues that continue to plight our community and specifically the next generation of Black and brown people in America. I've taken particular interest in this case, like millions of people across the world, because Shanquella wasn't just a Black woman, she was a young Black woman. As Attorney Blagrove said, her life mattered because at 25 years old, this was a young Black female entrepreneur. She was also an HBCU alum.
Yes, sir.
Graduate of Winston-Salem State University right here in North Carolina, where more HBCUs exist than in any other state in the country. I pastor a parish just 45 minutes up the road from here, where 90% of millennials and college students fill my pews each and every Sunday. I am standing with Shanquella's family today because that could have been a young lady out of my congregation. That could have been a young lady out of our neighborhood around the corner from our parish. That could have been one of the young ladies in my family. I've known Mario Black for nearly 20 years. And I'm joining the fight with the activists and organizers today. Justice for the Next Generation is standing with the Million Youth March here in Charlotte and in Salisbury, North Carolina. We're continuing our work with Attorney Benjamin Crump, Attorney Bakari Sellers, to stand in solidarity with this family to bring justice for Shanquella back to her family. I spoke with her family. I don't speak out on any case until I speak to the family so that I can understand who it is we're talking about today. And after speaking with this family, I am convinced, and I'm going to do like Attorney Sellers did. I'm going to call on my friends in Washington. I'm going to call on Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark.
Call him out.
Who I have full confidence in, who stood with our organization, Justice for the Next Generation, as we were fighting for justice for young black folks in Alamance County. And I'm going to ask Washington to do the right thing. We are urging the State Department to extradite the killers of Miss Robinson back to Mexico, where there is an outstanding warrant. As a clergyman, let me say one more thing. This morning, I woke up and my first meeting was on a call with college students as I am leading them through the prophetic book of Amos. Prophet Amos was one of the most poignant prophets in our biblical text, who spent most of his prophetic influence urging that there would be justice. Justice for the marginalized. Justice for those who are poor. Justice for those who are living on the fringes of the society then, and I would argue right now. And in the words of Prophet Amos, I would say, from chapter 5, verse 24, let justice roll down for Shanquella,
Yes.
like mighty rivers of waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Thank you so much, Reverend Drumright. The final person you will hear from before we hear from Miss Alamandra and her sister, Quella, is going to be a young man who hails right here in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County area. He's a young brother who's been fighting with this family from day one. And so I thank him. I thank Until Freedom with Tamika Mallory and my son and the others who have been fighting when there was no press, nobody, because they said Shanquella life matters. And, you know, oftentimes they try to accuse us for only making noise and raising alarm if it's a white police officer that kills a black person unjustly. Well, that is not true. Anytime any person is killed unjustly, whether it's a black person or a white person, we make noise because we stand for justice. And it does not matter if it is a cop or somebody in the community. If you kill a person unjustly, you should be held accountable.
That's right.
That is what equal justice is. And we want equal justice now. We don't want to have to come back 200 days later as Until Freedom is planning a big march on Washington, D.C. if they still haven't expedited these murderers.
Yes, sir.
And so it is about never ever forgetting that Shanquella Robinson could have been your daughter, could have been your sister, could have been your best friend. That's what this is about. So without further ado, Mr. Mario Black, a great leader, a great civil rights leader for not just this county, but for all over America. Mario.
Good afternoon. I am Mario Black, founder of Million Youth March Charlotte and Salisbury. I'm going to ask Ms. Robinson and Quilla to come stand beside me for 2 seconds. Just stand beside me as I talk. As Attorney Crump has stated, I've stood with this family from day one, from really October to now. And my sole message and my purpose is to help get justice for Shanquella Robinson. This family have become my family. We did the official rally in December. I said this in Washington a couple of weeks ago. We did the official rally in December. We celebrated her birthday in January. In February, we did 1,000 pink letters to Washington, to Mexico, asking authorities to make sure that they do the right thing. March the 3rd, Attorney Crump and Tamika Mallory, John Barnett, a bunch of us traveled to Washington with the Robinson family. We were in Washington making some noise and asking for justice for Shanquella. We was in me and Ms. Robinson were in New York the week after that. Same thing, same message. Justice for Shanquella Robinson. That's all we're asking for. President Biden. I said the wrong name in D.C., but President Biden, Vice President Harris, do the right thing and let these messages from all these people get to Washington. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo 6. Say it with me. No justice, no peace. Arrest the Cabo 6.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much, Mario. And now we're going to hear first from her sister, Quella, who has been, I mean, really pushing this. And you can only imagine if that was your blood, how you would feel. So she's not a lawyer or a commentator. She's going to speak from the heart about her sister. And this is very hard for her and her mother.
Yes.
My mama did an interview about a week ago, well, a couple of days ago, and the person in the interview asked her, what would happen if she don't get justice? And I wanted to step in and say, well, in that case, then I need to change my occupation because we got the wrong people in the wrong places, the wrong job.
Absolutely.
Amen.
There's no way that it should be 5 months with a video in place.
Talk about it.
And all kind of other information about the individuals that was on the trip with my sister. At this point, everybody in that room should be held accountable. At least one person should have been brought in for questioning.
Absolutely.
Amen.
I don't understand it. We've been questioning it since October the 29th of her death. We've been questioning it and trying to figure out why is it taking so long? What is going on? It gets to the point where we have to question our government. And that's sad. And then it gets to the point where we have to stand up here and do press conferences. There's certain stuff that we shouldn't have to do when it's too much information is out there.
And let me say this, she's absolutely right. This is something that's easy. You have a video.
Facts are clear.
I mean, ocular proof. Visual evidence. You have an autopsy telling us what was the cause of death. My law partner, Sue Ann Robinson, should not have had to go spend a week in Mexico trying to gather up facts to do the job of government officials who can arrest people every day here in Charlotte and Salisbury with no evidence at all. You got all the evidence in the world. What is taking you so long? Why do we have to put such an effort for justice for Shanquella Robinson when we know what happened to her? Sometimes it's a mystery. I know Rasheem Carter in Mississippi, little young man who was lynched, everybody, you don't know. We know who the murderers of Shanquella Robinson was. The question is, why haven't they been arrested and sent to Mexico to face the evidence? Extradite them now. Now. And we're now going to hear from Miss Salamandra, her mother, and then we're going to try to take a few of your questions.
Good evening. My daughter, Shanquella, was a great daughter. She was a great friend. You know, she loved people, loved life. And I don't know how no one could have done this to her. It's just terrible that they had a heart. They didn't even have a heart to do her like that. You know, she would give you the shirt off her back. You know, she was a kind child. Growed up to be lovable, love people. You know, and they did her like this. It's just terrible. And then they had a video that went viral. The whole world seen the video. And there's been no arrest since October the 29th. What kind of system is this?
Right.
I just don't understand it.
We will get justice for your baby, Ms. Robinson. We will get justice. We're going to try to take a few of your questions, if you have any.
You all were in D.C. earlier this month, and you kind of talked about the diplomatic intervention. Has anything come out of that, or have you talked to? I know you're saying you're going to take the documents to them.
Yes, we've Attorney Robinson and I have got the letter and the supporting affidavits and evidence to the White House, to the Secretary Blinken of the State Department as well. We sent it over to the Department of Justice, to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland's attention. As I stated, we are expecting to meet with the Foreign Relations Committee, and we are expecting to have an audience with some members of the White House after April 1st.
And so, I mean, that's 3 weeks. We're going on 5 months next week.
We're counting down 200 days. We've already said it in Washington, D.C. We know that the National Bar Association is going to be issuing a letter. We understand that all the national fraternities and sororities and different civil rights organizations in that time leading up to 200 days are going to be issuing demands for our government to do something. I was talking to, I don't know if it was President Davis, but we were talking about, and maybe it was Attorney Sellers, about there's an outstanding warrant. You know, why isn't Mexico just coming to get the killers?
Right.
We, the United States of America, do we really think somebody's going to come on our national land and try to take an American citizen without having some agreement that that person can be extradited? And so the question really is, why isn't the State Department extraditing these killers? You know, we keep thinking about, you know, unfortunately, the racial dynamics. This is a black woman.
And gender.
Yeah. When it was Natalie Holloway, we did all kind of stuff.
Say it.
It should be no different. No different at all for Shanquella Robinson. This beautiful angel from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's just very difficult to believe. What are you having to work so hard on when you got a video and you got an autopsy report and you got a warrant? Mexican authorities have already concluded the investigation. They've said that it was homicide.
The work is done.
The work is done. And so it seems like the only thing remaining, Thomas Lucas, is for them to extradite the killers to a government that's ready to prosecute. If America isn't going to prosecute, let's let the Mexican government prosecute. Let's don't stand in the way not one day longer. Period.
Mr. Crump.
One more question. You two and then.
What efforts can be made by individuals to raise awareness around this issue?
You know, I love what Mario Black said, that, you know, the letters. I mean, it matters the more we're calling, sending letters. You know, I thank April Ryan for asking the question at the White House briefing last week. That was very important because we have to continue to use our voice for Shanquella Robinson because she has no voice anymore. And I will hope and pray that if that was my daughter, somebody would think it robbery to say, when I get a chance to speak to power, to speak truth to power and say, what are y'all doing about Shanquella Robinson? Now, I know there's a lot going on in the world, and I understand that. But this is an easy one, President Biden. This is an easy one, Vice President Harris. I mean, all you got to do is extradite killers back to Mexico. And so what individuals can do, and hopefully being here on the campus of Livingstone College, we can have all the young people here on the college campus engage with this family to start a letter writing campaign, an email campaign where we just flood the emails at the State Department, you know, much in the way we had to do with Brittany Griner, say, you know, when are you going to extradite the killers of Shanquella Robinson? That should be everybody every day emailing the State Department to where they throw up their hands and say, man, Crump and Attorney Robinson, yeah, okay, we're gonna address this now. It shouldn't be this much effort. It should not be. It should not be. Last word.
I got to ask, you've worked hundreds of cases, thousands of conversations that you've had over your career. How does this story, how does the work that you were having to put into this, how is it so different than the other stories and situations that you've had to work in the past?
You know, obviously, this is a little different than, say, a George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. Has similarities to Ahmaud Arbery and Trayvon Martin. When you think about citizens, killing citizens, you know, police get to argue qualified immunity, you know, all these things. Well, these are regular citizens. And when you commit a crime as a regular citizen, they come and arrest you. And so what's so different about this, Reverend Drumright, is why are they coming to arrest these people? It's like down there hiding in plain sight. I mean, they're going on about their life.
So we're in a state where there is legislation pending right now in the North Carolina General Assembly that is forcing sheriffs to cooperate with ICE. If we have a process in place to extradite people who have come to America from Mexico and from all over the world to seek a better life, why can we not employ those same resources and those same processes to ensure that people who are a danger to folks in the communities that they live in Charlotte as they walk the streets freely, where we've seen them on a video brutally murder their friend, why is it so difficult for us to get them to Mexico? Because I can assure you, the extradition processes that we have in place for people who come here seeking refuge is much swifter.
Come on. So we don't have to go reinvent the wheel, as Don Blake Grover said. Right. They can do it. We will keep you updated. We expect, as I said, to have this meeting with the Foreign Relations Committee in the United States Senate. We expect to have an audience with the White House, and we expect nobody to sleep peacefully until we get justice for Shanquella Robinson. 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 Thank you.
Justice for Shanquella Robinson. We hope that justice comes sooner than later. It has been long enough that the Cabo 6 has walked around free. So if you can, send letters, emails to the State Department and ask, when will they be extraditing the Cabo 6 back to Mexico? Well, I thank you all for watching and listening. And please share this video so we can get the word out on what people can do to try to help this family get justice for Shanquella Robinson.